Okay.
Oh, hey, look. Oh, sorry. I'll mute.
Everything's breathing.
Oh, that's okay.
You want to see if you can hear us?
World class art.
Pat, do you want to ask if Jesse can?
Oh,
Jesse, can you hear us? Yes, great. Pat.
well, we got a few more minutes anyway.
Yes, but I told him, "You're not young people anymore." I'm definitely not young. Watch out.
Let me get a helmet. One on my Christmas list.
Right.
Okay. In the mints.
Thanks. Manhandle.
I just put it, just probably already did.
Well,
It's already taken care of. You could check it off list. So 12:45 in the evening. 12:45. And then Josh has a 6 and I have a 7, so we're meeting in between those two.
yes, please. And I haven't even been here, and I just want to take over the conference room. Not these. We do ours up there,
Sure.
and then I gotta hear my.
Oh.
You know me, just.
Boom,
If
boom, boom,
I
boom.
can start at 5 at this point, that's where I live my life. Who wants to be at 5 a.m.? Why is it day?
It doesn't.
All right, I see myself.
The X is very confusing.
I myself that needs to go down 12:45.
So did you just run into Kelly or is she?
No, she came up to the shop because she thought she needed to help us put out barricades in Old Town for the leaf peeper season. And she was gonna, but she didn't show up until 4:40 and like everybody's already gone, you know, so.
Yeah.
Was I supposed to come early? Considering the dudes get off at like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Hi,
I'm
Susie,
guessing
can
you
you
hear me.
not
You can
hear
hear
us?
me.
Can you hear us?
Can Jesse still hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Cool.
That owl, for some reason, is super quiet. I don't know if there's a volume button on the side, Kat. There's like a plus and minus button somewhere on the side. You're gonna have to pick it up.
Oh.
You see the plus?
Yes.
So
Okay.
cute.
CT, can you hear us? Oh. Sam is walking in now. Uh-oh. We lost CT. Always. I was at the Ned Fire board meeting last night, and it was gratifying to see that we're not the only people who have technical problems for the first 10 minutes of our meeting. We swore in our new fire chief last night.
I
And
heard,
then we had cake.
it was,
Oh,
I was thinking, I ended up with a bit of a headache yesterday. I was just done.
Look at that cake. It's the cutest,
Uh-uh.
cutest darn thing ever.
Little fires. Oh, I love it.
Good. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, they put a picture on it?
That was
Uh-huh.
really good.
So sweet.
We might talk about the picture.
It was like a chocolate and white frosting sheet cake, which is basically my favorite cake on earth. So, yeah, no, it was really nice. There were a lot of people there, like family
Good.
in from out of town, but then also like community members and stuff. So,
Good.
yeah,
I
no,
went to Chief Scott's.
Yeah.
Swearing in, but. A little bit.
oh, it's all good. Okay. I think I hear Sam. We'll give like,
We have form.
no, because CT is having technical issues. Sam texted me that he was walking in. Yay!
Oh, wait, hold on. Don't walk away from me.
Oh, there he's back.
All right, I can hear you guys. Apologies for calling in remote.
How are you, Sam? You too. Who's saying Alice?
If you wanted to start.
We do have form. Right.
Yeah, he has a good.
For Lindsay's not gonna
Yeah.
make it. Oh, Casey, oh yeah, Casey's gonna be 10 minutes late, so she'll be here in like.
Sweet. Thanks for putting the agenda together.
Of course. Let's just give like 2 more minutes and we'll get started. We have a relatively light agenda tonight.
Now it's getting tied up, but.
Oh, there's Alex. Lots of people online today.
And the phosphorus. There's, some other
Nice.
executives.
That, I think that's what you're talking about.
Great. Alex, can you hear us?
So sorry, I meant to text him.
Is
If you want to see who's online, you're also just welcome to like come look at my computer screen if it's
Yeah.
like disconcerting not to see who's.
I mean, I can hover and at least like wave and.
Yeah, totally.
Start.
just toss all that.
Introduce
I
myself.
can fire it up on the side too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Alex, can you hear us? Woo, great. All right.
It wasn't connected at first, but I'm good now.
Totally.
Are you hearing it through your computer or the owl?
Oh, no, all of my volume is off. My volume.
Did someone online say something?
Test,
Can
test.
you hear me?
I'm here.
Just quiet. That's owl.
Do, re, mi, fa, so. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scooch
Okay.
quiet, so if you talk loud, but all right, I will call the meeting to order.
Good job.
Thank you.
Really got that gavel down.
Yeah, I've been practicing. There we are. Wonderful. Oh, just mute yourself. Yeah, you're good. All right, and Casey is on her way, but we will get started. So let's do roll call. Jesse Severs,
Here.
CT Hutt,
Here.
Sam Ovett,
Here.
Alex Zaviric.
Here,
Did I say that right?
it's Zabrick, but you're close.
Sorry, so sorry. I shouldn't have done last names.
Her and
Kat,
Barb.
here. Lindsay. Oh, Casey. Cool. So, and then we also have Zoe. No, sorry, Kate.
That's okay.
So
Yep.
it's Kate, who's on screen with Sam there, one of the applicants for the alternate position. So we'll get to that in a moment. And then, oh my gosh, I'm terrible at names. I'm so sorry. Jess, who is an intern with the Mountaineer, and is here
Oh,
to
hold on.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, getting all myself.
No, that's
Thanks.
why I am.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's wonderful.
That's
Thanks for
Jess.
being here.
Everybody knows Jess.
Yeah,
Who's here to cover the PROSAB meeting.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so welcome. And I believe that's it in terms, I don't think there's anyone else online that I'm missing, but please speak up if there is. Okay, so the first agenda item is approval of the August minutes. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look at those. Casey sent them around a couple of days ago. Does anyone have any questions or edits to the minutes? And if not, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a comment and then a motion, just that they're great and they're extensive and in-depth and wonderful. So thank you. Much better job than I did with them.
And they're on letterhead, which is very fancy.
Yeah, they're really great.
Casey takes some good minutes.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Great. Would anyone like to second that motion?
Second.
I'll second.
Sam and I think Alex. Sorry, I'm trying to simultaneously take notes until Casey gets here. All right. Let's see. Just to approve the minutes. Kat, yes. Alex,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
CT.
Yes.
That everybody? Yes, okay. All right. I think, I'm trying to decide if we should wait till Casey gets here to start the candidate interviews.
Is there any public comment?
I think Kate needs to leave by 6:15.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I guess I should ask just explicitly, yeah, is there anyone here who would like to make any public comment on anything that's not on the agenda? Sweet. And I don't think we got any letters other than asking about leaf peeping. Thank you for responding to that, Miranda. All right, well, yeah, let's start. So I put the action items on the agenda first this month because the only action item we have is to interview the two candidates for the PROSAB alternate position and then vote on a recommendation to the Board of Trustees for an appointment. As I think everyone knows, we have two applications and they're both linked in the agenda and also should be in your email. So just to ask first, any PROSAB members, has anyone not seen the applications or does anyone need a couple of minutes to read them? Okay, wonderful. Great. So as you all know, Zoe was unable to make it tonight because she's on a plane back from New York. But she did send an email, so hopefully everyone got that. And then I did email her a question just to give her a chance to respond also to a question that I would imagine you would also ask Kate. So if it's okay with everybody, I can just let you know her answer to that. And then we can, and then people, if they have questions for Kate, can ask them. So I asked Zoe, if she were appointed to PROSAB, what projects in particular might she be interested in working on? And I won't read her answer verbatim, but just generally she said that her background would lend her to projects around trails. She has experience with trail maintenance and would love to be involved with the master plan and or volunteers. And then also that communication and community input is critical. So that's all for that. But yeah, would anyone like to ask, make any comments or I'd like to also give folks a chance to ask Kate questions.
I thought
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
and Zoe's were great. So it's like, unfortunately, we can't have both people at this time. So whatever happens, encourage whomever doesn't get the alternate appointment to look out for the next appointment because it seems like we'd like both people. Always tends to be the case. Not always, but most of the time.
Alex, did you have a question?
Well, I think in the past we've had people give a short introduction.
Yeah.
I don't know if in Kate's email, like she said anything about her. I mean, I read the email and it sounds like involved in the farmer's market, but just knowing a little bit more about you. And then I'll ask a question, but not to like cut you off with questions before you introduce yourself.
Yeah,
And I'll give you the,
great. Yes, good call.
Yeah, so thanks for hosting and thanks for having me. My heart has just continued to grow in Nederland. We moved here 7 years ago and I had my children here. I started at the farmer's market in January. I quit my job in software to be with the kids, and my good friend and neighbor Kip was looking for a manager for the market. And I said, that would truly be a dream job. So I took the position as the farmer's market manager, and the last 7 months had been just an absolute gift. And the reason they've been a gift is because I've fallen even more in love with this community, not only from my own family being here, but connecting with all of our community members and developing relationships with them. So at the forefront of who I am or what I would bring to PROSAB is really a community voice first and foremost. I'm not really here to push an agenda. I'm really here to like continue to love on the people that I've met in this town and have developed relationships with from the market. My background is in molecular biology. I have an MBA. I've been in 5 startups. We've been acquired in the startups I've been in. I've led teams of 20 people, but really my type of leadership style is I hire smart people to do really good jobs, and I love working collaboratively with people. So the other thing that's, I guess, like important, but not as important maybe, is I'm a big outdoors woman. So we mountain bike all over West Mag, and I probably shouldn't say, but also on Caribou, because I know that there's some private land up there too. So we'll keep that. I won't talk too much about that. But also we're at Chipeta Park multiple times a week with our girls. They're 2 and 4 years old. We walk around town pretty much every morning. Maple goes to New Explorers, and Penny's my 2-year-old. So we're just around, and I just love it here. So I can't think of a better way to spend my time and energy than to give back to this town that I love so much in ways that matter a lot to me. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll ask a question if you want to go, Sam.
go ahead.
Okay, sorry. This is the challenge of not being there in person where I'm always cutting someone off. Kate, we meet once a month in this 2-hour format, and then it's really hard for us to like get a lot of work done as a group between then due to the sunshine laws in Colorado. So I found like a lot of the work in PROSAB is either being able to attend this meeting and consistently participate, or do smaller group meetings where the sunshine laws don't apply. So, and it is like a time commitment. So I think I want to like level set there and get your reaction to availability for like this meeting on a third Thursday basis, and then like for smaller, like, Miranda and Nikki and Sam and I have set up a monthly meeting on the trail update, things like that. Like it does, and there's emails in between, stuff like that. So it can start to turn into like a little bit of a part-time job. So just get your reaction to that. Not to be a downer, but to be the realist I am.
I really appreciate that. I think that that's a really good thing to say from the onset. And I've heard a little bit from Sam. Sam's my neighbor and friend. And yeah, I know that this is a commitment. And I certainly wouldn't be here if I wasn't committed to showing up for you guys, but also for our town. So that's the main driver really are the people that I've met here, and listening to the things that people want and being committed to seeing those through. And I'm totally a woman of integrity and don't intend to say something and not follow through on my commitment to that. So it was good to kind of hear your overview on what the expectations are. Once a month meeting for 2 hours is not a problem at all. And then of course, in matters like this, like that actually mean something to me, of course, giving more for smaller projects or like one-off meetings is not a big ask when it comes to like my interest. So.
Thank you. I should have said thanks for being here in person as well, or being there in person. Thanks.
Well, I'll vouch for Kate as well, because she's my neighbor and organizes like the best events in our like community side of the neighborhood as well, which is amazing. and has been someone that we've been able to bounce ideas off of stuff we're working on here, even just and bringing different things we've been working on to the attention of the neighborhood. Kind of we're up on Ridge Bonanza area to get input. You know, we basically send a text out. It's like, okay, I'll text everybody and like find out what people are feeling. You know, what people are interested in.
I too will vouch for Kate. I worked with her dealing with the farmer's market stuff. She's been a pleasure to work with. She's been very responsive and knows, like, really quickly knew what was up. She's trainable, teachable, and that's a good thing. So, but yeah, working with her in the farmer's market has been a pleasure. So.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're just, this is
everyone.
Kate, one of the alternate
Hi.
applicants. This is Casey, another board member, so. Not to put you on the spot, but
Oh.
if you have any questions, I think as you probably know, Zoe couldn't make it and sent some
Yeah.
emails. But if you have any questions for Kate.
Not right now, I just, based on the limited, discussion I just heard, it sounds like you're already kind of plugged into the town, and I think that'd be really helpful to kind of have that cohesiveness that you could bring to PROSAB, so that sounds really great.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Would anyone like to make a motion of any sort?
Ready?
Oh,
Language, are we echoing?
yeah.
What's the motion that we need to make here?
Oh.
We're gonna make a motion to recommend approval. A motion to recommend, appointment of whichever candidate you're interested in.
I'll make a motion, to recommend that we appoint Kate as the, like, what's the official, the alternate PROSAB appointment.
A second.
All right. Let's take a vote. Kat is me, yes. Sam,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
CT. Sorry, he had his kiddo on his
Yeah,
lap,
yeah.
so he's a little
Yes.
distracted. Great.
I vote yes.
And Alex.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, as you may know, we are an advisory board, so we don't make the decision, but we do make the recommendation to the Board of Trustees. So, that will be our recommendation.
And I believe I put this in my email, but October 3rd, then coming before the Board of Trustees. It is an action item, not a consent item, so Zoe is welcome to come, introduce herself as you will as well, and then the board will either kind of affirm this recommendation, or they could choose to go a different direction. So you'll do this again, that meaning hybrid as well, coming in person or virtually, whatever is easiest for you, but I'll send you all that information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, yeah, so, and then I think, I know Zoe's not on, but just want to sort of say that we deeply appreciate
Yeah.
everyone's interest in working with PROSAB, and just really do encourage anyone to keep in touch, reapply, that sort of thing. So I think it's a blessing to have two amazing candidates, so.
Just to add to that too, I read through Zoe's application and she would be an amazing asset to this town.
Totally.
So like whomever the town goes with, my second, then you really can't have
Yeah.
a bad alternate candidate at the table.
Yeah.
And if I were selected, I intend to be in connection with her and kind of she's someone that like we should keep close.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
She would add so much value. So I'm sure she would feel the same way too. But just know that would be my
Yeah.
intention.
Cool.
I feel like there's always openings happening, surprisingly.
Yeah,
You're like, wow, there's.
every
another
few
one.
months,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's something
And Marie,
in some
will
way.
you follow up with, or should I send her?
No,
Okay,
contact.
you will. Great,
Okay.
thank you. But yes, let her know we deeply appreciate, and obviously the BOT will ultimately make the decision, but. Okay, I think we are wrapped up with that action item then. There is an item on the agenda that I did not write down because it's a surprise. So
Is it food?
it's not, I'm sorry, I know, but I think it's still good.
It's
We
much better than food.
wanted to say congratulations on the completion of Barker Meadows Park.
Oh, oh my God.
I wanted to say that we know how much work you all have put into it and just really, really appreciate everything.
Thank you guys very much.
So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend eating. Oh.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, did these come from your yard?
You know, they were gonna, and then my yard is getting a little droopy, so it didn't.
Oh. They're beautiful. Oh my gosh, what a thrill. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Long time in the making.
We started writing that grant in 2018, got approved for the grant in 2020, COVID, and then started it, and then frozen dead guy days, and then had to start it again.
Yeah.
So it has been a nightmare of a project, literally a nightmare of a project, and I'm not done, it'll never be done, but I'm done, so.
But yet it's over.
But yet it is over, and the grant report is due at the end of the month, so I'm working on that with Rita, and then I'll really wash my hands of that
Yeah.
grant, so.
I mean, it's just such a wonderful new asset to have in town.
It is, it really looks fabulous.
It does.
I love what you said. I hire smart people. In this case, I was very lucky to have a couple employees that are just spectacular. And over the years, I've had some excellent employees and helpers on that project. So, but right now it is, I mean, I went down there the other morning. It was so beautiful. The flowers were growing, the trails were looking so good. The rock gardens are awesome. So super pleased with my people that have helped with that project and the volunteers that have helped on that project throughout the years.
Thanks for those on the.
Yeah.
It's a pretty.
I never get flowers, so we don't know. I shouldn't say that. But thank you very
You
much.
order a lot of them.
Right, you plant them.
I do, I do. You want me to roll straight into my staff report?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Well. Yeah, I'm gonna start talking about Barker Meadows. It's in the final push. And so this is the staff report that I do is for the month of August. So when the BOT and or PROSAB hears my staff report, it's for the month before. So, so what you're hearing is from the end until the end of August, but Barker Meadows is in the final push to completion. The concrete pad for the ADA and bicycle parking was poured. And if you haven't seen it, my staff went down and painted the ADA parking space and put in the striping and they did a really fabulous job. The dog waste stations, back picnic tables, signs and benches are in place. The last steps to be completed in September are the installation of the bike racks and attempt to restore the area near the AmeriGas line. So what kind of happen with that is this year we'll kind of scarify it. We don't really plan on doing much.
What is that?
Scarify.
Sounds like a Halloween thing.
Yeah, put up some.
So that's where you loosen the earth.
Okay,
So you gotta, because that's area is really hard packed.
got it.
Gercio is way area, but it's really, really hard packed. And so you go in with like a teeth on a piece of
Yeah.
equipment and then just rip it up.
Gotcha.
And it looks like hell for a minute, but you have to do it. So we'll scarify it. And then we'll probably put down some winterizer and then it comes spring, we'll put down some fertilizer. And then we'll throw grass seed at it.
Cool.
And we'll start seeing what we can do. If we can get seed to grow without having to, kind of amend the soil down there, it'll be a miracle, but we'll take it. Of course, eventually, once the IGA is in place with the city of Boulder, we need to drain the pond.
Okay.
That's a consequent of a city of Boulder's plugged culvert. And, so we have to wait for that IGA to get in place before I can do anything with that.
Before you can touch it.
Yep.
I was wondering. Yeah.
We could, right now, what I theoretically, what we can do, once we get a jet truck, because our
Yeah.
jet truck with the town is down, we can start like sucking out the pond and then
Yeah,
putting it back into the wastewater
gotcha.
pond. But I can't like poke hole and drain their culvert
Oh, okay, okay.
because they don't want that rush of water coming down at their reservoir.
Seems like a good place for water.
Just what I fixed it in the first place. And That's says, all right. So, the cemetery, we're working on a grant with the Historical Society, and it could see some funding coming its way through the state historical grant,
Cool.
submitted through the Historical Society and CU Bowl.
You're excited about that, huh?
I'm so psyched. The cemetery is my baby.
Yeah.
When we created the Parks Department, I started giving pieces of the parks for employees to kind of take care of and to lead, and the cemetery has been the one thing that I said, no, that's mine. Nobody touches the cemetery but me. Or nobody has lead on the cemetery. But it's a multi-phase project. It'll take place over several seasons and include further investigations of the history of the cemetery based on photographic and archival data. It's working with local volunteers and students from area universities. They will record the layout and the contents of the cemetery and conduct non-invasive pedestrian and geophysical surveys with the goal of identifying possible unmarked graves and creating an up-to-date and searchable map of the cemetery. So you'll be able to look at this map and hover over it and see exactly what's in that spot. It'll eventually, so they're collecting my brain and putting it on paper for me, and it'll eventually tell you each person's story.
Oh, wow.
So, the goal will be to have something on everyone that's in there. So,
Do you need any, just a little side note, any map data for me?
not as of now. The
Okay.
CU has already been doing this
Gotcha.
stuff. So, and all of this is, it's so detailed. It's the LiDAR,
Yeah.
sonar mapping and, it's all like, it has to be down to almost the inch on this one.
Is the interval kind of?
Yeah, we can't have a
Okay.
3 foot, gotta be like a foot or less for mapping, when you've got that much stuff in such a small space. And we did some drone activity, did some other things like that. It's really been a cool thing to
Cool.
be involved with. We're also doing that up at the Caribou Cemetery, but I'm not, as
Yeah.
a town employee, not involved in that.
Yeah.
So results will be presented to the public and in a final report. It is truly impressive, and it's been my dream since I started with the town to get this stuff done, to get it all recorded, because we have literally, I've been carrying around a reusable grocery bag, and that is all of the information that I had on the cemetery for the longest time. And, so to get it put into the computer and to actually get it, recorded is.
That's huge.
And then with the work that we had done in July, cemeteries had a lot of love this summer, so it's been really cool to see. The ice and tennis park saw the initial phase of the surface removal. The old paint was removed and disposed of. Surface was then diamond blasted in preparation for the shot blast. And potential new coating will happen in the summer of 2024. The parks team are very hopeful that the lighter surface color will extend the time of the ice season this winter. The other thing that the tennis board is now requesting of me is to not resurface that area for, they want me to resurface it, but instead of using paint, they want me to potentially basically scarify the rink areas to make it a little rougher. And then, because they said the new surface, the diamond blast makes it pretty slick. So, they want me to kind of pit it out, which would be what would happen with the shot blast. And then once the shot blast happens, they have said maybe we should just stain it because the stain would last much longer. So I wouldn't have to come to the PROSAB board and ask if I can use conservation funds to resurface the rink ever again. And then the initial talks, when we're talking about the new GoCo grant that we're applying for, is to, instead of having a painted surface, have them actually mix the color into the concrete so that the concrete would be that color, and then we would only be painting the lines on, which is something that my team can do. And actually really got good at it. So if you guys haven't noticed, the Nederland covered pedestrian bridge is seeing some very much needed maintenance. New roof was installed to replace the crumbling shaker wood roof, which is also not compliant for fire code. During the same period that the visitor center parking lot was paved, the north side of the bridge received new asphalt as well.
Looks great.
It really does.
Right on.
It really does. So that area had become a true safety nightmare to the public coming from or traveling to the Tungsten Trail. The next steps, which are actually already completed, so I guess I'm previewing September, but the new siding and flower boxes are up. The guys, my team, were down there. We have started the process of cleaning what's left. So they didn't touch the sunray feature that's on the end caps of the bridge. And then, of course, they didn't touch the flooring, and we had to like drill drainage holes through the flower boxes on the bottom sides, and put up the dog poop dispenser and the new information board. So the guys were down there working on it today and power washed the sun rays in preparation for the spar urethane treatment that they'll get. And they pressure washed the walkway of it. Holy moly, does it look nice. It looks night and day different. So beautiful. And then in my staff report this month, I gave kudos to my team. The Parks Department has flourished as a team. We're incredibly proud of everything that we accomplished this summer with such a small group. And I said, we might be small, but we are mighty. I'm very fortunate. My team is really, for the most part, very much pleasure to work with. There's a few of us that have, I would consider friends, almost family, because we work together so closely and so much. So, but they call me the queen leader, and then I have hair and beard and six pack are my guys. And he calls himself Six Pack because his last name is Seapack. So, so yeah, we all have our nicknames and stuff. So if you start to notice down at the Curcio Field area, some of the concrete says hair or beard or queen. And that just depends on who poured the concrete. So it's been a sweet team to build. And I'm really enjoying the idea of hopefully, eventually adding to the team.
Yeah.
Continuing to make it stronger, and every person is gonna do more stuff for this town, so. All right, that's all.
Does anybody have any questions for the queen leader? Queen leader.
No, good job, we appreciate everything.
Well,
Our goal, one of the things we're trying to do is like just give Nikki what she needs.
Great. Yeah.
That's like the theme of what we're trying to do. And what, is that safe to say?
I would agree with that. Awesome. Well, thanks for the update.
thank you.
And yeah, make sure they see the pictures too.
I will.
I appreciate the whole team. All right, so we do have a lot of informational stuff tonight, but they're all relatively short. So Miranda sent the BOT upcoming agenda items around, and Alex requested a little bit of background on what's happening with the Wingate property, which I appreciated because I also was wondering. So I will turn it over to Miranda. Well,
Yes.
five minutes good?
Yep. I talk fast. I can roll fast. Yes, so I did include what came before the Board of Trustees 2 nights ago, since this was all happening the same week. So just kind of background on Mary Wingate. If you all didn't get a chance, there was a link in the packet to the AIM that I wrote that shows the mapping of where the Wingate property is. But I think everyone knows generally where it is. It's on kind of the south side of Highway 119, south side from Old Town, right before you go to the Eldora turnoff. Large property there. There were 4 parcels there. The town of Nederland has been gifted some of the parcels, but we're also purchasing some of the parcels
Oh.
up until 2020. Mary Wingate always intended to gift us or to give us 3 of the 4 parcels. Mary Wingate unfortunately passed away in 2020, but in her will, she released us of our obligation to continue to pay on one of the parcels and ended up gifting all 3 of them to us, which is incredible. They have a conservation easement on them, though, which means we could never develop them for any sort of buildings or houses or anything of the sort. She did stipulate in her conservation easement it can be used for recreational assets. So it could be bikes or trails or whatever this group really ultimately decides. However, these properties are not in our possession. It's very complicated from a planning and zoning standpoint. They were never properly subdivided in the first place, problem number 1. So we need to go back and correct some subdivision issues, and breaking off the 3 parcels we're gonna get need to be broken off anyways. We're obviously gonna run it through the subdivision hearing process before the planning commission. So we offered Lori Wingate, who is Mary's daughter, the ability to subdivide the large parcel she's keeping. She wants to subdivide her parcel into 4 sections, which creates her 4 sections and our 3 sections, leads to a major subdivision. A major subdivision is a total pain. You have to do soils assessments, traffic assessments, roadway assessments. Feels like every assessment under the sun, because you're dividing more, you're turning a parcel into more than 4 parcels. You're subdividing by more than 4. However, since there's a conservation easement on 3 of the 7, we feel like it's a minor subdivision. You know, if you were to break town away from Lori and Lori ran her own application and we ran ours, they're minor subdivisions. However, this is a huge gift coming to town. So the very least we can do is run Lori's application for her instead of her making her go through the whole process herself. So step 1 in this whole process is to get a variance to run this under a minor subdivision, which is just a very quick application, versus the major. Planning Commission gave us unanimous approval. Board of Trustees also gave us unanimous approval at their meeting. So now we're gonna run this as a minor subdivision. What will come, so we intend to bring this back before the Planning Commission in November as a minor subdivision, because we need to do a little more work on the plat. Copy of the plat did go to you all in the packet. So that's not the final plat, but can give you a general idea of how the parcels will be broken apart. I'm looking at probably 3 to 4 months of getting it from the Planning Commission to the Board of Trustees, and then of course documenting it. So we could probably anticipate being in possession of these parcels officially February or March of 2024, which then means it'll kind of come to you all to see if, how, when, all of the things, how you want to develop this, if at all. You can also just kind of sit on it, but there is a large desire to, once we acquire these parcels, to do some serious forest mitigation. We did our CWPP, Colorado Wildfire Protection Plan, training amongst staff, and that was identified as a perfect segue into the Forest Service work. And so regardless of what PROSAB ultimately chooses to do, I think step 1 is mitigation. So
It was also identified as one of the higher risk areas as far as fire movement.
Sure.
So
Which makes
more,
sense.
way higher risk than Moose Meadows or Joe Smith Park area.
Yeah.
Way higher risk.
Yeah, because it's
yeah,
down.
so I think that's our biggest responsibility, but I know, there's a desire of downhill as talked about, there's desire of trail connectivity. I mean, this is a huge asset that's coming our way, and a lot of thanks to Lori Wingate, Mary Wingate, that whole family for gifting this to us. We're excited to get through the process. It's like a 1.5 years in the making, just even getting to this phase. So we're ready to keep it going and finalize the subdivision.
How big is what will eventually and then how big is the one that Ms. Wingate will be retaining?
So I believe ours is just shy of 10 acres between the 3 parcels combined, and then hers is somewhat similar.
And is there a conservation easement on the one that she's retaining as well?
No.
She can do whatever.
So she can do whatever. She does not intend to develop her parcel, but did split it in a way that her kids could acquire pieces. Split it in a way that it is conforming to zoning requirements, so they all could be developed if at any point, but said that is not her current intention.
We have to have it surveyed, I assume.
We already had it surveyed.
We did, okay.
So the plat, we just have some the challenge is the subdivision language and having to do a major was gonna be very complex. So that's why came forward with the variance wanting, so we're closer to being able to run it now that we're under a minor. Where a major would have been a year plus in the making, trying to get all those pieces done.
Quick question with that, like revisiting that plat, do you know if there's a like piece where it connects fully down to other town access points for recreation?
No, well,
On the top, it kind of does, but,
I guess I can share screen because you have your thing.
Oh, yeah.
Camera.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
because I know that was like one of the.
So there is to the Highway 119, this small part, I don't know what you're seeing.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, yeah, we can see it.
This small parcel here, so it's this small parcel, and this parcel coming to us. So obviously this small parcel connects you to Highway 119. And then obviously then you connect to Forest Service and then into Big Springs, so kind of connected here.
So there is like a connection to the highway right there?
Correct.
Yeah.
Both sides.
You said the green right there, that is Forest Service?
Kind of upper, I guess so, you're over here.
Yeah, the green's for the.
Green is Forest Service.
Service there.
Okay.
And it's my understanding there's a social, isn't there a social trail system?
I've heard there's a social trail here.
I don't know.
Like, go on a journey.
There definitely
Probably.
would be
I know, I kind of want to go explore.
Like up on this side.
It'd be
That-
great if we could get a map of whatever trails are there, if anyone's familiar with that space.
Like cell phone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Seen that trail.
I can doodle it.
Oh, right, that hair.
I seen the trail, it would be.
Does anyone online have any questions, just to make sure?
Sit back here. You can ride it.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Miranda, what are your thoughts and what is your sense on us beginning any kind of planning around these parcels? Is it a done deal or should we just continue to sit on planning efforts for another little bit yet?
Yeah, I would recommend still sitting for about 6 months because we're technically not in possession of these parcels. So I think it would look kind of bad form to plan for something we're not
Yeah.
officially in ownership of.
That makes sense.
Agreed.
I mean, if you want to have kind of back end conversations, it's happening, right? But I wouldn't go public outreach. I would
Like,
keep
hey,
it
what are you
kind of
interested in?
intimacy
Some ideas, like.
of this group. But yeah, we're not, we know it's coming, but until we start to do really kind of strategic public outreach, we should officially be in ownership.
Yeah, and it seems like a good thing to know, given the work that
Yeah,
the subcommittee is doing on the Trails Master Plan and like all of that, so.
that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on unless there are any other pressing questions. So CT asked to give everyone a quick update on the Moose Meadows. Oh, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. I really like you.
Congratulations.
The Moose Meadows sign, which we clarified, PROSAB doesn't need to vote on. So we just put it on as an informational item since it's ultimately up to Nikki to give the thumbs up on the placement. But CT, do you want to show everybody the sign?
I think it looks great. It's sat at my house on my since this meeting and I approve.
The Moose Meadows portion was there, and I'm apologizing that I can't be there in person today, but the open space bit underneath is done. It's spar urethaned, and I am ready to hang this.
Awesome.
They look really good.
Yeah, that's really nice, CT.
It looks
done.
great.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for doing
for,
that.
yeah, thank you for all your work.
Absolutely. So where this is going to go is at the corner of Sundown Trail and Indian Peaks Drive, where the trail turns in and goes off to the Caribou Room and then back to like a crossroads trail where the Tammy Forest Trail starts and goes down towards the school. So I will get in touch with Nikki, and hopefully there's a good couple of posts around and some quickcrete, and we'll get it up there.
Awesome. My team will take it
Sometime
from
in-
here, CT, if you just want to put a dot on a map or something, or even we could walk over there. And then, yeah, my team will take it from there.
Okay, I will shoot you a text.
Awesome. Thank
And
you.
we'll walk past by there sometime. So yeah, that's it.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, CT. We
Thanks.
all really appreciate it. I walked through that open
Absolutely.
space a couple times this summer. It's just stunning. It's
Mhm.
beautiful.
up there last week.
All right, and then next up is Alex wanted to give a couple of short updates on rink and tennis, and then an update on Prost. Alex, I gave you 5 minutes for each, so if you need less, that's great, but I gave you 5 minutes for each.
Well, I'm definitely, this is not a one-woman show, so Miranda and Nikki know more than I do on rink, but I'm happy to kick us off. And now I'm forgetting even when the due date is, Miranda. I know you just replied to that email.
October 26th.
Thank you. So if everyone recalls, we did not get selected for the first round of GoCo funding for the rink project. But we are putting in a really good effort for round 2, which is due, thank you, on the 26th of October. We've met with the larger rink and tennis stakeholder group, I think twice since our last meeting, and have a kind of good action plan there that will involve, because a big deficit that our GoCo rep noted was the kind of lack of community support, community engagement on the project, just showing that it has that broad support. So we're going to be kind of collecting support letters from key stakeholders, potentially even cash, like pledges, not like actual cash, but a pledge that if it's funded, there's going to be a engagement campaign on HubNet. What's it called? Not HubNet, whatever it's called. The engagement.
Engage Netherlands. I was like, what?
Engage Netherlands.
I was too.
It's so hard to remember. And kind of have a way for community members to engage with the materials there, and kind of offer input and support just so we can show GoCo that we have done that work. So I think we have a pretty good outreach plan in the next just over a month. One area, I think the next weekend at the Harvest Fest Farmers Market, Kate, I wish Kate was still here. The stakeholders are going to potentially have a booth. Do we have approval for that yet, Miranda? Do you know?
Just asked her on her way out, and she said she wasn't sure, but I would
Okay.
have plan is that our team could set up outside the visitor center or
Right.
somewhere else. And I think we still aim for that event regardless. We just might not be totally inside it.
Right. So I think that was identified as like a good way to get some community engagement, like have large posters of the renderings for the event, for the project put up, and then have community members come by and give input. The renderings are really beautiful. It's one of the tennis members' wife is an architect and put together just kind of gorgeous community gathering space that would replace the kind of shack city that is currently at the rink. And I think it would provoke a lot of good
Really said.
conversation.
Yeah,
Spot on.
that's what I thought when I saw it for the first time.
Shack City.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
I've got
Yeah, that looks way better than Shack City.
That'd be fancy.
That looks great.
Super compelling, right?
That's very compelling. And what
Yeah.
you would like in that space, because it creates an amazing event space, like all those different things that just are just like level it all up. Super cool.
I have more to share.
Yeah, go for it, Miranda.
Yeah, it just takes a minute.
Yeah.
It's a side angle of the building.
Yeah, that's awesome.
These are really preliminary, just concepts so that we get something out to the public.
That is how you enter the building from the parking lot.
Those bike racks?
Yeah.
Hey, is there any way you guys can share? Oh, there you go. Thanks.
Can you see it, Jesse?
This looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this direction is awesome.
This is the direction from
I
the
love it.
state, from the rink, where then you've got the Zamboni shed and the other, and then you've got kind of a
Beauty.
warming area
Yeah.
inside, the restroom.
Oh, I love it.
This is awesome.
Now,
Yeah.
this building that as designed is an $800,000+ building.
That sounds right.
So we are not asking for that in GoCo. So we either have to scale down or
Or
we have to
fundraise.
raise funds.
Right,
Figure out how
so
to raise funds. Like that thing is awesome.
for your reading pleasure later, I literally just sent the email that basically GoCo said, no, we don't typically fund buildings. They fund portions of buildings.
Okay.
But our match really needs to be kind of earmarked towards offsetting the cost of this building more than, so we're doing a pretty robust pledge campaign. So
Cool.
if y'all want to help with that. I don't know, Alex, if you want to get into that, but
Yeah.
yeah, please, I'll let you continue. I'm done sharing
Um,
screen.
Yeah, and I think there's also the opportunity, like we have our various pots of PROSAB money that we could potentially commit some of to this project as well, which is obviously not something we're gonna do right now. So I want to leverage this group's like community connection. So I think we're getting kind of two kind of main buckets of support letters. One is kind of community individual member, either cash, in kind, or just like I'm so enthusiastic about this project letter. I'm putting together templates for this, which I'm circulating tomorrow. And then the other is from more like organizational stakeholders, like schools, youth groups, youth advisory board. I know there's like a big list, Nikki and Miranda, that we've talked about. That is just saying like, this is how my organization could leverage this new recreational asset. So I guess two asks would be, and one of the group members is going to put around a spreadsheet. One of the tennis folks is going to circulate a spreadsheet. So if this group has any connections to anyone on the spreadsheet, I'm probably going to share that with you. Or if you have any suggestions for like I'm going to reach out to someone at Ignite from Eldora because my husband volunteers with Ignite, and they might have someone with an adaptive connection who can speak to like the adaptive community's use of this space, like things like that, where someone's more likely to respond. So that's one ask. And then at the farmer's market, if we put together kind of sign up for staffing any sort of table that could have community outreach. I wasn't going to be here that weekend, but I will be, so I'll be there. But if anyone is free on the 1st, next Sunday, I'm going to circulate that as well. So I think those are the two like community engagement asks to get this over the finish line in the next like 5 weeks.
Amazing.
And you all are on the parks that you should be, on the Parks Advisor listserv. So you've seen all this.
Oh yeah.
It got a little tense for a minute there. So you probably you were witness to all of that. I think we know that there's a relationship challenge there between mountain tennis, pickleball, and rink, and saw it kind of emerge a bit and really tried hard to redirect. And he did an incredible job redirecting in the meeting. I sent kind of that follow-up expectations. That's going to be a long time to kind of get over some of those historical challenges, but we just kind of keep reminding them like we're in this together. It's not a PROSAB versus town versus ring versus mountain tennis pickleball. Like if we're going to do this, we're doing it all four of us being champions behind this and then getting the community involved. So I feel like the communication I've seen so far seems great, but I think we're always kind of mindful of that relationship. Our ask, and it's tough for PROSAB, you can just be witnesses to a lot of this communication. Like even Alex sends things through me so I can send things out. You're really just meant to be witness. If you have a desire to ever chime in, make sure you do it one-to-one, but they don't have the sunshine law piece. So that's why they can respond to each other.
It's really nice to be like copied on that, just to be.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate that. So
That's exciting too. It's like,
yeah. All right, so we should probably move on.
Maybe just can you one really quick? So we'll have promotional materials available as of 9 a.m. Monday if anyone wants to start doing the pledges letters, and there'll be folders available for everyone Monday morning that will have these images printed out and all of those things. So
that's exciting. Well, thanks.
I'm going to get everyone excited.
Yeah, thanks to all of you. I know it's a lot of work and a lot of time. So, and then Alex, you were also on to give us a 5-minute update on the PROST.
Sam, do you want to do it? I've been talking too much.
yeah, sure. I'm happy to jump in. So essentially with the PROST, where we're at is we had our first meeting to review it and organize how we're going to tackle it. And we're going to tackle it one chapter at a time, by like one chapter a month. And so starting, if anybody's looking at it, at the second chapter, because the first chapter is an executive summary. And so we'll do that one last, obviously, because that'll change. And then the big thing that we're really doing with it is obviously reevaluating, does the document serve us, just in the structure of it? And then the lens by which that everything is looked at. Now we have a Parks Department. We didn't have one when it was written. And so that is an entirely different piece of the puzzle that we get to look at in an exciting way, because now Yeah, that's like a very exciting piece of it. I'd say that's the big pieces of it.
Yeah.
Alex, is there anything you'd add that you feel like I missed? It was like a very first meeting, figuring out how we're gonna tackle this thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're
So-
gonna meet on a regular basis going forward, which is always good, and we have a shared doc, which is always good, so we got our ducks in a row,
I
but
like-
Yeah,
Were you able to open that Word document though? Did
I
you?
was, yeah, I
Okay.
thought I responded, sorry.
Oh, I don't know, maybe you did, I'm very behind.
I saw that, and I was able to, and I didn't respond either. Yes.
Is there anything that the subcommittee needs all of us to do between now and the October meeting? Like, should we read anything? No,
You
not
can
yet.
always read chapter 2 if you want.
Yeah, I would argue, because we'll come with our recommendations on amendments to chapter 2, so if you haven't had the pleasure of reading the pros, or you need to. be
Yeah, you should read it,
familiarized,
and you know what
Read
the
chapter two.
recommendations.
Chapter 2 alongside us.
6
Yeah.
pages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are very short.
It's like
The
book
book
clubs.
club, yeah.
Like,
Casey.
rewrite the book.
Welcome to PROSAB Book Club.
Always wanted to.
Book club, awesome. Yeah, I think like each month it'd be great to know, yeah, like what should the rest of us read to be able to fully engage with your recommendations at the next meeting?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I think with that, it's just simply read the chapter that we're rewriting and working on. So that when we bring the recommendations, you say, okay, that's what it was. This is what we're changing about, or want to change about it, recommendations wise.
So October is chapter 2
Yes.
Yep.
and November, like kind of.
Chapter
No.
3, yeah,
Step
chapter
four.
4.
Yep, exactly.
Chapter 1 is the executive summary, yeah, so we're 2, 3, 4 for a while, going through all the chapters, and then we'll flip back to the executive summary,
Exactly.
which for some reason is chapter 1.
Every other month, right?
That's right, so September through October is chapter 2. October through November is chapter 3. That's how we're working it.
Got
But
it.
your October meeting will be chapter 2, your November meeting will be chapter 3. We're happy to send out our timeline if that's helpful.
That actually might be a good idea. We should do that.
I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because we're meeting as a group again before our next PROSAB meeting, so we're discussing our chapter 2 changes when we meet in early October, I think. And then we'll come to the group with the recommendations. So Kat, could this just be a standing agenda item
Yes.
going forward, and you can
And
like
how long should it be?
Ooh,
the
30 minutes,
time.
Like 30 minutes?
yes.
Why don't we slot that in, and then if there's any like background or any like stuff to add to it, but I'll just put it on for the foreseeable future.
And if you haven't read the post, just start with the executive summary. Like it's a good place to start, then
Yeah.
dive into the chapters.
And for anyone listening to this meeting or who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's the
Yeah.
Parks, Recreation, Open Space Trails Master Plan,
Right.
which is
Sort of
currently,
kind of an acronym for the thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is currently being updated.
That's good to say, so it's not like alphabet soup.
Yeah,
That's
So.
it is.
awesome. Well, thanks, team. All right, so on to discussion items. I don't know that this will actually take 15 minutes, but I'm on here. So the next thing on the agenda was to circle back to, I can't believe I just said circle back, was to circle back to the PROSAB goals that we voted on as our official 23-24 goals at the last meeting. And then to make sure each of those goals has 1 or 2 point people who's kind of responsible for not just monitoring them, but also priorities, not goals. But figuring out like, what is the goal in this priority? What's the work to be done? Keeping folks updated, reporting back, that sort of thing. So I think I'm gonna try to share my screen. Everybody should have this. Can I do that? Everybody, gosh, stop telling me things. Everybody should have this document. There we go. But can you guys see the priorities that we agreed upon? It's just a Word, like a Google Word document. So as a reminder, those were number 1, PROST update. Number 2, create a volunteer program. Number 3, pump track. Number 4, support town staff priorities as requested/needed. And then I listed the kind of key priorities that were in the town strategic plan document below. Doesn't literally list every single solitary thing that obviously that the Parks Department is working on, but it was the big kind of bullet points under Parks. And if I'm missing anything, definitely let me know. But yeah, so, and then the advocacy list is what we agreed to just keep as a list to remind ourselves that we as a group want to sort of keep an eye out on these things as they come up and, you know, whether it's like speak up at a BOT or write a letter or, you know, engage in discussions. So those won't be like action items with people responsible for them, like the priorities will be, but they're just in there as a reminder. So yeah, so just this, wanted to go, so does anyone have any questions on that before we jump into just finding out who might want to be responsible as the point people for the things we don't yet have people for, because some of these we already do. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we do that real quick? Okay, cool. So PROSAB update, we already have Sam and Alex, so, and
Yeah.
it's just, we're pretty good to go there, and town staff, obviously.
I was around.
So I think we're pretty good there. I think as we've discussed before, it makes it really challenging with sunshine laws to have anybody else involved in the subcommittee, although people are obviously like encouraged and welcome to, you know, bring ideas and discussions here. So we'll keep it to 2 max for any of these things. So volunteer program. I would like to be planned on that. And I know Lindsay mentioned she was interested in that too. I don't want to voluntold her, but I can like see if she's still interested, but I should also ask, is anybody else interested in that particular project that we will figure out what the project is.
Which one is it, Kat?
The volunteer program, the second one.
I'd be interested but if Lindsay, like, I also defer to Lindsay if
Yeah.
she wants to help, and I can help on another one.
Cool. Why don't I text her and then I'll text each of you individually. Pump track, we already have Sam and Jesse, I assume is still the
Makes sense.
team pump track. Jesse, yeah, thumbs up, is that cool?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Figured you guys didn't wanna, run away from that. And then I'm
Not
not
yet.
totally sure how to do this. Cause like, it seems like, so complete Barker Meadows, I don't think you really need like point
Check.
control, right? Yeah. So that's like on its way to being done.
Yep.
Hence the flowers. And then Alex, you're already so involved in like the rink tennis stuff. Should we put you as the point person for the second bullet there?
I have a full mouth, but yes.
Yep. Oh, a full mouth. I thought you said a full map. I was very confused.
Sorry,
Um,
sorry. It's due to the full mouth that I couldn't speak.
Anyone else interested in supporting the work on rink and tennis? And I think when we get our new member too, we can see what, they're interested in engaging on as well. Okay, so we'll go there. Is there sense to put someone as point on sort of helping with the securing funding for Chipeta ADA? Or is that sort of like,
So ironically, I've got a community champion on this
Okay.
project. So Cinda Kochin is kind of championing this project already. So I don't know if we want or need a PROSAB champion. And if I feel like that maybe is something that should happen once we start looking at like funding and grants,
Right.
then maybe.
Well, and I'll say that the one thing I'll add is like we're gonna be talking money here once the design stuff is done with the pump track. And it's like it's kind of like a Chipeta Park project, so take that into what we're doing over there.
Yeah, so
Maybe it
Cinda,
does. I don't know the real like scope of what needs to be done.
basically a whole brand new playground. Like that's
Like the playground itself.
Yeah, the
Like
whole-
yeah, I think it's gonna be like grant writing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's pretty. It is kind of separate, but
and
like it's pretty
possibly, you
independent.
could possibly have a source of like funding.
Community fund.
Okay.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because there's like an ADA component in a way to the pump track that can be, like we're making that. We want to make it accessible. I don't know how it falls into like actual ADA, but we want to make it accessible to.
Yeah,
think
so
about. We don't-
we like put a pin in that in terms
Yeah,
of maybe let us know if and when it's useful to have someone Cause it could be useful generally, like if y'all want like help on branding or outreach or whatever, but if at some point it's useful to have like a specific person,
So Cinda is looking to eventually form a kind of a team.
like a team, yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, the next thing, so this, the next is the, distribution of the Metropolitan Football Funds, to increase youth activities. I think I've been copied on that, I think, I did like, so I don't know, would it be useful for like someone from PROSAB to be engaged in that? It seems maybe a little separate, I'm not sure.
Where we stand is that we're gonna make a score sheet, scorecard, evaluating criteria, something of the sort that can be used for all fund distribution for Health and Human Services youth programming. So if someone wants to tag team that with me, I always welcome that support. Otherwise, we'll carry it on the two of us.
Yeah.
As we do most.
And we have a large committee behind us on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need the support cat, but always
Yeah.
It's a
welcome.
cool thing.
Nederland and our committees.
No, it's
Something-
super cool, but yeah, would anyone be interested in being sort of looped in and involved with the like large group and with Miranda in terms of like figuring out what like a template essentially might be for distributing funds for youth activities through the town?
Yeah, so we're actually gonna create a score sheet of how do we distribute any funds.
Yeah.
So that it's not so much like one organization
Oh,
comes and
cool.
is like, I want funds, like we
Yeah.
have this really unique we have a very well-defined process, so if you want money from town, you know exactly how to go through
That seems great.
the plan to get there, and recognize that this youth is opening up a much larger conversation.
Oh, cool.
That's great. So yeah, is anyone
That seems super
interested? Yeah, it seems like help could be great, isn't necessarily necessary, but is anyone interested in popping in on
What
that?
I would say is if someone is interested, they're welcome to come to our Metropolitan Football Funds meeting on Tuesday, October 17th at 11 o'clock if they want to see the final proposal. If someone's interested, I'm happy to forward that invite on, but would ask again that we don't have to publicly notice it.
Yeah. Yeah, so if anyone wants to get looped in on that, just let Miranda know. It probably works best. And I actually do really like seeing the email, like I wasn't gonna go to the meetings, but like I have appreciated, but if you need to take me off at some point, if it gets to be too many, like
No,
something.
that's too much work for me to figure out.
Okay.
Back to the old email, God, did they I do.
But it was really cool. I don't know, I think I might be the only one, because of the chair thing, might be the only one on that, but it was really cool to see all the proposals and applications and how much great stuff is happening in this town, so.
Read.
And then PROSAB update is already point personed, so. So yeah, so I think we have that all done. We'll figure out we may also figure out a way of having 3 people work on the volunteer program if that's possible without violating sunshine law. So we'll see, because you can never have too many volunteers.
I mean, we can always publicly notice your stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. We can always publicly notice your stuff.
We'll see. And I feel like the
Work.
winter,
It's just extra work.
the winter will be like a nice time to sort of like figure things out, because there's probably, my guess would be not a ton of volunteer opportunities. Parks wise
Tons
and
at the rink.
oh, duh. Why didn't I even say that? Of course.
Tons
Yeah.
of
One
volunteers.
thing, I almost want to like,
That's probably my biggest.
Yeah. All right.
can I ask a question essentially? Not about these priorities, they're awesome. Is one thing that's sort of come on the radar that I would love to just research and explore what it looks like is a recreational district
Can't be initiated by the town of Nederland.
cannot be.
So you can do that on your own, but you can't use PROSAB.
Okay,
resources.
that was my question, like how that
We
works.
champion you on your own, but yeah. it
I have a
can't be-
lot of information.
Can't be town initiated, and since this is a town board, it cannot be pursued. I mean, you can
Okay.
research it, but it cannot be
Like-
pursued.
Got it. That's what I was curious. Is it have any?
Call me later and I'll give you information on
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that's
I
super
mean,
interesting.
discuss it as an informational item, but that's
Sure.
really where,
It is.
unfortunately.
Okay,
where it would have-
that's good. I want to understand it in the context of PROSAB. Is there, and it sounds like no, which is great. And understand okay, personally, I'm curious then to understand the impact that it could have on our ability to fund the things we want to do.
But you
Yeah.
can do an informational presentation.
I
on
can-
future PROSAB.
I can.
I think that'd be really cool to add to the next agenda item because
Because
this thing
we
is
looked at
very
district before we created a department for years. We were looking at a district possibility. and ran into brick wall after brick wall.
Interesting. I think that would be a cool thing to just have like a head, like this is what this is.
Because I don't know a ton about it, but I'm trying to learn about it, and it sounds like you have a lot of background to understand it, and
Myself and Dawn Baum over here. at the
Yeah,
Homes.
okay.
We explored the district for a long time and it was brick wall.
Interesting.
but something that seemed like, is there an appeal to it? To do it?
Is there an appeal?
Yeah, like for creating
You,
funds,
you,
I guess. That's a.
you're broadening the tax base. That's appealing.
Because basically like my tax dollars, up on Bonanza Drive Ridge Road, like they don't.
Right,
they
right.
don't-
You
they
broaden-
go to The county and like, who knows if they end up back in town.
Certainly,
Right.
certainly.
So that's kind of the overarching theme of like, can we get our local tax dollars to actually work for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll give an informational presentation at some point in time and just tell you these are the,
Can we put one on the agenda for next month? Is that
Sure.
okay?
If
you're open to that.
Request.
Do we have to do a request then?
I mean, no,
Okay.
just let me know how much time you need.
To talk about that kind of stuff, maybe 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Let's do 10.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good question.
We got a desk down, she's available too to talk.
Oh, cool.
It'd be great to know more about that.
No,
Keeping it with.
That's
Nikki.
fine.
That's okay.
Because the library did like a district at one point, right? And then that increased the libraries.
They are, yeah.
The
So that's why it has to
library-
be initiated by the community, by
Okay.
taxpayers, to put it forward as a ballot initiative.
Got it.
To want to create a new tax base through property taxes. It's gotta have
Wouldn't that
a
be
whole crew.
Library and net fire.
Because I
both
feel
are
like,
special
paying property taxes and they're like, they went up, but they're not necessarily going where I want them to go.
Yeah. All right. So the last item, unless there's other business, and Sam, I hope it's okay that.
Yeah.
It's on here.
Totally.
So I just wanted to give everyone on the board a quick report back on the board and commission leadership work session that Sam and I attended with all the other chairs and vice chairs of the BOT, the planning commission, the zoning, the SAB, NDDA, that Miranda and team pulled together. And so I'm just gonna give like a quick, I wrote down some stuff to like report back on what was discussed. And then Sam, whatever you have to add would be wonderful. And then this is not, I'm not proposing we like make any decisions or even have like a gigantic discussion here, because I think there's a lot of stuff to sort of think about and maybe some background to read. And I don't think anyone had a chance to do that before this. So basically want to give people sort of a report back, suggest thinking on some topics, and then having some discussion in the future.
Pat, just know you're still sharing screen. I don't know if you want. But just so everyone can see your emails.
Firefighter jammies.
Sorry.
Don't tell my husband. Well, that's mortifying.
It's only on the public record, Kat, just record it for eternity for everyone to
Yeah.
see.
That's, it could have been worse, okay?
You can just stop sharing.
I just did, didn't I?
Oh, no, you're still sharing. In my world. Oh, wait, maybe you're not.
I think I just
No,
stopped.
she's done in my world.
Good. Yeah.
You're good. Okay. Well, now I have to make a whole new Christmas list. So thanks, guys. Okay.
We'll help you.
Okay. Cool. My face is very red, but I will continue. So yeah, Miranda ran the meeting, so she can definitely like remind me, and Sam was there as well. But so essentially it was a meeting to bring together leadership of some boards and commissions to talk about some like sort of best practices around running meetings, interacting with the community, codes of conduct, and then also issues of conflict of interest when it comes to the different topics the different boards are working on. So I had like kind of three things to report back on. So the first was we talked about sort of best practices for running meetings. And someone from the Department of Local Affairs did sort of a presentation on this, and I forget his name, but Chris.
Chris Loman.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say, Chris.
It was great.
Yeah, it was super helpful. And so we did talk generally about sort of the best practices around having clear agendas and structure, transparency, fairness, that kind of thing around meeting agendas. And then he did introduce a system of meetings called Bob's Rules, which is, as the name might suggest, sort of a less intense version of Robert's Rules of Order, if people are familiar with that, which is what like Congress uses, and I think. And so Bob's Rules, which is in the folder you all have with the agenda, is, in my opinion, still fairly intense. It's like a 60-page document or something like that. But it's a Colorado-specific way of running meetings that has like some structure and some rules and regs, but conforms with Colorado law and is a little less intense than Robert's Rules. So, and if anyone wants a copy of them, that's what I put in the.
And it's geared toward local government.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so Bob's Rules of Order was written by Robert Widener. Robert Widener is the founding partner of our law firm that supports the town of Nederland.
Oh, I didn't realize that. And he's like the something of Centennial, right?
Yeah, he's the lead attorney for Centennial and the president of the Colorado Municipal League.
Yeah. And so I think like one of the things that we discussed at the meeting was we technically, PROSAB doesn't technically have like a specific structure that we have adopted to use for our meetings. So the meeting structure we're using right now is the one I came up with when I became chair. So, which I like it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best for like an entity to use. And we could decide and discuss to use something like Bob's Rules or something similar, or anyway, the basic point is that all of this is out there for us to kind of think on, do we want to adopt some formal set of like structures in the interest of like transparency and fairness and that sort of thing. And again, I don't think we should probably dig into like an intense discussion on that here, because I think it's worth people looking at Bob's Rules and like thinking about how you might have experience, you know, in other boards or at work with this. But yeah, I think it's just worth thinking about, do we want to like formally adopt like how to run our meetings, so it's not just at the whim of right, like whoever is running the meeting.
Maybe what I can add though is I know we both love what Kat has done with PROSAB, and we actually shared Kat's agenda request form with the rest of the board and commissions, talked a lot about it. So we do feel like, personally as staff, that PROSAB is one of the boards that is functioning just so well, and you are so efficient. And we'd love to see other boards mirror what PROSAB is doing. So huge kudos to Kat in that form, and I was excited to be able to share it with the other boards.
Awesome.
Well done, Kat.
Yes.
Well, and I'll add to that as well. Yeah, well done. We're all like, number one, I didn't realize the other boards didn't really have certain structures of things. Some of them do, but the BOT does, of course.
Yeah, and planning commission probably is the other board that runs really well and very well-oiled machine there.
Right. And so, yeah, kudos to Kat, like, you've done a great job with this, and the structure has been awesome, and knowing what's going on and everything leading up to it to make sure that people can get stuff on the agenda item is really great. And then the touches of like flowers and things like that's really wonderful. I don't think that's in Bob's Rules, but you know, Bob can make some recommendations. So with that said, the interesting thing is that I didn't realize is that the other boards, including ours, there is no like code of conduct kind of background structure that keeps the continuity there over time. And so I'll put my plug in for the fact that I do think we should really encourage this kind of whether it's Robert's Rules or Robert's Rules is like very extensive. I bought the book, I skimmed the book, I did not read the whole thing. And it's a huge book. And
for buying it.
Yeah, I bought the book and like, okay, this is a lot.
Let's start like filibustering and like cloture votes and like all sorts of things.
Yeah. I was like, well, if I'm gonna advocate for one thing, I need to understand the other. And so Bob's Rules seems like a great thing, and it seems that like Miranda, you would be excited about having that structure across them, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems like it would make it easier to have the continuity of what's happening at PROSAB continue on no matter who's there. And then also for the other boards to have that continuity and that structure. Because what I learned is everybody's really excited about what they're doing, but there's not a known way of operating. And so it's hard to know, or there's just like each board's kind of doing its own thing, right or wrong, they're just doing their own thing. And if we can give some structure to that, then it creates, like a more just, more efficient local government,
Yeah.
which is what we're doing here. You know, and we can probably actually get more of the stuff done that we all want to see done. So that's my plug for like that takeaway from it, and the facilitation was great.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to discuss this, and I think like generally I agree with everything Sam said too. So I
What-
think
And one of our takeaways was that we bring back the board and commission leadership twice a year to kind of work on more things. And
Yeah,
the next topic was really going to be regarding like mediation and recognizing that some boards do have kind of a pretty tough interaction with one another, and it does stunt the progress
Yeah.
of meetings. And I think PROSAB has had a history of that in the past. Like of just wanting to make sure that we're really equipping the chairs to be able to navigate, whether it's your board or it's the public. How do you kind of work through some of these more challenging interactions and giving the tools? So the thought is we'll come together about every 6 months and continue to provide those tools to the leadership who is in charge of all of these meetings.
yeah, and that was kind of the next sort of chunk of the meeting, was talking about sort of the codes of conduct and working agreements that the Board of Trustees does have adopted working agreements. And again, these are all in the folder from the meeting. But I don't believe that like we have officially, we have not officially adopted any of those. So like, for example, right, like their working agreements are, we start and end on time, we listen for understanding, we don't interrupt the speaker, like things like that, like how to, you know, interact with each other. And then the code of conduct is much more intensive, and it involves not just like working with each other, but working with the members of the public and staff and that sort of thing. And I think everyone actually received both of these documents upon becoming a member of PROSAB. I know I did, but I haven't looked at them in a while, and so I put them in the folders. And I think these are also worth like thinking about, you know, whether we want to adopt exactly what the BOT has or some version of that, and whatever it might just be useful for everyone to have the same. But either way, I think it's, you know, similar to, yeah, I just think I don't think any of these are controversial, hopefully. But again, they're in the folder. Take a look at them, think on them. I think we can probably have like a deeper discussion at the next meeting once people have had a chance to actually look at them.
And so would it be that that PROSAB as a board would adopt like some like rules of order?
Yeah, really some work agreements, code of conduct. You know, we do have other boards who are struggling with conflict of interest. And really recognizing that that's something to help boards navigate. I think one of our takeaways too was doing a more robust training for anyone who joins a board or commission. Right now you get an email from me that's like, you should read all this. And if you don't, because you probably won't, you should at least read Sunshine Law above them all. And so how can we make it a more engaging? How can we set aside time with staff to sit down with you and say,
Yeah.
welcome to PROSAB. Let us tell you, you know, everything that's going on with PROSAB, but then some of the more logistical pieces of serving on a board or commission versus like just learning it as you go.
Yeah, and this wasn't part of that meeting, but I also think like part of what we talked about, I think we talked about it a little bit at the last meeting, was like having somewhere where sort of like the, you know, the priorities and projects are housed and back in documents with all the previous community engagement, so that when someone new does join,
right.
at the very least, you can be like, here's what we're working on, like here's some of the background. It'll take a little while to fully catch up, but like here's what's happening, you know, so, and here's who's working on those things. If you're interested in learning more about rink and tennis or about Prost or about volunteering.
And to your point, just file sharing is a bit all over, right? It's like the board of trustees, planning commission upload a full agenda packet, so it's all stored on Civic Web. But SAB has a Google Drive that goes back 10 plus years.
Yeah.
PROSAB's records are a little bit all over the place. DDA, I'm not sure. So, I mean, that's one of the pieces is like that, even things like that, there is no kind of central system. So really recognizing that it's the board's leadership that we need to help drive these decisions more so than staff. Like we're here to support, but wanting the leadership to decide how they want to conduct themselves so that when you go to PROSAB, to SAB, Planning Commission, to DDA, you're getting kind of the same experience no matter where you go, instead of like wondering how each board functions for consistency's sake.
Yeah. I think it's helpful for members of the public as well.
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
So,
Because then they know how to engage with the town if they need to. It's much less frustrating.
and then the last item that we discussed at the meeting, as Miranda mentioned, was conflict of interest. And I think that it was, we didn't go super in depth on it, but essentially we you know, it's something that we should all be thinking about, especially, I mean, any board, but especially in a town this small, you know, I think. And so we did, you know, kind of cover that it's defined essentially as when a person is in a position to derive personal benefit from decisions or actions made serving on a board or in official capacity.
Sorry, I have a quick, like a financial benefit?
Typically financial, but the thing about conflict of interest is only the person who has the conflict can decide. We can talk with you all day long. We can connect you to our attorney, but only that person can decide. And I think what we're seeing in some boards is other board members feel like, you know, Nikki has a conflict, but Nikki's not choosing to recuse herself, and really wanting to create an environment where it's okay for me to say, hey, Nikki, are you sure you don't have a conflict? Can we please talk about this? To help create a culture where it's okay. And it doesn't, because right now conflict of interest is used as like undermining tool, and people are using it to kind of throw each other under the bus. We want it out on the open. Like, we want to be able to talk about it and ask that question and it not be a personal attack. It's just in the benefit of town that we talk through these conflicts.
Yeah. Yeah. So exactly. That's like what I wanted to sort of share with the group is I love the concept of just making it a conversation item that we make sure to bring up on a regular basis, right? So it's not, I think conflict of interest is something that we should all be comfortable raising as a conversation, as a question. As Miranda said, we don't have the power to be like, oh, you have a conflict, you need to recuse yourself. It's up to the individual. But that doesn't mean that we can't like have it be part of a conversation, bring it up, make it transparent, that kind of thing. And so I do think, I just think it shouldn't be like aggressive or an accusation. It should just be something that we start making part of all of our discussion items. So yeah, so, and again, it was, you know, a relatively small part of the training. And I think I don't have in the folder like a great sort of one pager on exactly what it means, like personal versus financial. Like, it is usually financial, but that line is kind of gray sometimes, I think, when it comes to like, so anyway, but
well, one thing I would add, so transparency, obviously we find on Facebook really quick of like, you know, so-and-so has it, or you see like so-and-so has conflict, like, let's just get it out there. Like, let's talk about it. So we get ahead of it before the community. But to that point, yes, conflict of interest is typically financial, but there's also perception. And I would encourage, and sometimes I do encourage people to just think about, what is the perception here? You may not have a financial conflict, but is your involvement going to potentially undermine the success of this whole project? And perhaps you should consider that when you go forward, of whether you recuse yourself or not, is, you know, really thinking about the greater good. And this is a small community. And so can't force anyone, but maybe be mindful of your involvement and what that might do to a project.
Yeah. And my hope would really be that we can like be a team that can raise that without it being sort of, cause like, I'm just like, if I were proposing something and just hadn't even thought about it, you know what I mean? Like, I think I understand why it is sometimes comes off as like an aggressive thing, but I would hope that we can kind of get to the place where it's just a regular part of the conversation. So
I think a form that could take too is just like if we're voting on something, because that's kind of where it comes into the most play, is, hey, does anybody have a conflict of interest they should mention so that we're aware of it? We still want to hear what you have to say, you know, if you feel like you have one. And then, you know, do you think it's appropriate to recuse yourself from the voting? If so, great. If not, okay, great. We respect your decision, kind of deal. You know? And then just, okay, kind of pre-vote, we could work that in as a, I don't know, like just a matter of how we do it. Any conflict of interest we should be aware of. Anybody have one?
yeah.
The only thing I would say is our attorney would caution against their involvement in the conversation, that they should give a comment as a public member. They shouldn't participate in the discussion and then just not vote, because they can influence the nature of the decision. That they would then, you know, welcome to sit in the room, but would really just offer like a public
I
comment.
mean, if someone is going
Right.
to recuse themselves.
Exactly. And they would offer a couple of public comment, but not engage in the dialogue. Because, you know, again, still potentially influencing the course of the decision.
Sure.
Some people, when there's a conflict of interest and it's disclosed, they do just leave the room altogether. That's a choice that the person would have to make for themselves. But I know recently we had someone declare conflict, and then Attorney Madsen was a bit concerned because she engaged in the discussion, but then abstained from the vote. So.
Got it. So I think there's a lot, you know, I think it's really great to have these, you know, commission meetings and trainings. And I think there's a lot I think we're all learning on the job So, I think it's helpful to have this info and like, yeah, so all I would ask, definitely happy to chat more tonight, but all I would ask is that people take a look at the background materials and kind of think on like, we're not gonna like tackle all of this in one meeting and figure it all out, right? And some of this will be practices going forward, but you know, what should we kind of get in place? You know, probably the structure and the working agreements, but yeah, so if people have thoughts on that, I'll put something, I'll, you know, probably talk with Sam
Yeah.
as well, if that's cool, and then like put something on the agenda next time to get some stuff in place and go from there.
And Kat, I think Peter and I would love to come back to you at some point in time when we're ready of like, okay, what did you wish you knew from us as a new board?
Yeah.
What would
Totally.
have been super
I
helpful
got a list.
that we should train on?
Right?
We want that list. Peter's gone most of October, so probably not until November, but we really do want to hear like what, you know, of course, we recognize sending you a bunch of documents is not efficient. What format does that look like?
Yeah,
What do you want to learn from us? How can we be more helpful as you get newly appointed to a board?
Yeah, that'd be super cool. All right, and that's all we have on the agenda. So is there any other business?
Maybe I could just add, if you haven't attended the CWPP, some of those trial runs, what are they called? The trial run sessions?
I
I don't know.
attended it this week. It was
The
really good.
CWPP. What, Alex?
Sorry, Alex, what?
I said I attended one of the workshops this week and it was really good. I would encourage everyone to attend. You don't have to attend for the one where you live.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what?
there's only
Sorry.
one more left.
They're at a wild.
So the next one,
Okay, gotcha.
Wednesday, September 27th at the Gold Miner in Eldora at 5.
And you get to go to the gold miner.
Get to go to the gold miner.
Yeah,
That's the last one, but I think it's really vital to talk about, you know, wildfire behavior patterns, evacuations, getting a ton of feedback on that. I think that would be.
Alex, did you go to the one in the barn?
No, I went, it was just in the fire station.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was
Yeah, there was
not
one
an
that she.
exciting location.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
my neighborhood is happening right now, so.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't go to Big Springs for this reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But-
it's fine. You can they have the map of the whole the whole zone out, so you can give comments on anything.
Yeah.
Marina, my other question was, did we have any update on money? Like I kind of forget what cadence we're on for the tax revenue.
Good question.
Do you mean the marijuana tax, Alex?
Yeah, yeah.
You
The
want
one
to
that
know
funds
budget,
parks.
we're planning to budget for 2024? Alright, that was, I'm gonna get Nikki's budget up.
I was just curious because I know we got an initial report a few months ago that we were like exceeding projections and was curious if we were still like on pace for that but if you want, we can just do it next meeting.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have immediate access to that. I
Yeah.
think Nikki and I were gonna budget 84,000, but we still need to break it into its own fund. Conversations will start, the first budget hearing is on Tuesday, October 24th at 7:00 if people want to listen in. That's gonna be mainly generated around revenue conversations, some of these things like how do you want to handle the Parks and Rec fund? It won't actually go into financial figures just yet. We just want to ask the board a bunch of questions and get our answers so we know how to budget accordingly. What I will tell you, and I think I've told this before, pretty bare bones budget. Super glad we did the increases for staff that we did, but we need to scale back to make that actually stick. So next year is the year of stabilization, as I like to call it, where most focus is on how do we generate more revenue without, of course, going towards taxes. I'm really looking at parks being a huge piece of that, increasing the revenue through all the different assets that you all support. But yeah, we don't have a ton of extra funds to do a whole bunch of new things.
Got it. Sweet.
From town.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Yeah, and one other thing, there's gonna be a Big Springs Egress walking tour on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, whatever date that is, if it's October 27th.
27th, yeah.
At 2:00, meeting location to be determined, but if you're interested, I'll forward you the invite. It's with our engineer, who is the firm handling the Big Springs egress study. And we wanted to extend the invite mainly just to PROSAB and BOT to start. We'll have future ones with the community. But if anyone's interested in walking the previously discussed routes and haven't had a chance,
Did you say 2:00?
Wednesday, the 27th at 2:00.
I would love to have an invite to that.
Can you
bet you-
forward to me too?
Just appointment.
Yes,
Thank you.
Move it around.
Never mind, I can't go.
Wait, are you going? No.
I have a dentist appointment.
Oh,
I can go, so I'll be there, Kat.
Okay.
all right.
I might
Cancel the
reschedule my
dentist.
dentist
All right.
appointment, 'cause I kind of want to. Yeah, please send, because I may reschedule I really want to.
Yeah, that's right.
There will be more. I promise. There will.
Are you-
Yeah, there will be more, but this is the, we finally have the
Okay.
contract signed for Big
Yeah.
Spring Egress
I'm up-
study.
I'm up on it.
So we're gonna.
So they're walking the routes that will be studied.
They're walking the routes that were already studied to talk about the feedback on those. And then, of course, more routes will be studied. But Trustee Gorbalon really wanted to make sure that, and I think Nathan's already walked them, but really wanted to walk them with Nathan. And I asked her if it would be okay if I extended the invite to PROSAB
Okay,
and the BOT.
got it.
We're not trying to have a huge group, which is why we're not going, much larger than that, but we want to extend the invite too.
Yeah, shoes. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Yay.
Good
Thanks,
job.
Thanks, team. Bye, everyone online. Good to see your faces.
Thank you, everybody.
Only in.
Sorry, CT. I just closed you. Did you guys see